since she's my sister, we kind of work off of each other.
Yeah.
We know we want the best outcome.
We don't really butt heads or take anything too personal because, I mean, at the end of the day, because of how many years we've been working together, okay, I'm going to trust it.
Hi, I'm Manola,
And I'm Maria.
and we are local artists here in San Antonio. And you may have seen some of our work around town. We do murals. We are also painters, and we also like to do screen printing.
And so for today's workshop, you guys are actually here in our studio. We're going to be doing summer-themed shadow boxes.
It's a really cool project that you can work on at home by yourself, with friends, with your kids. So let's go ahead and get started. What we like to do is start off with a couple of thumbnail sketches. And as you can see, they don't have to be super detailed. What you want to do is just get all of your ideas onto paper. So you start off with like really small sketches. That way you're not super committed to one yet. And you can have fun sort of making up these little images. And then at the end, you can choose which one you want to go with.
What's more summer than paletas? And so we decided on an image that you can see here, and it shows 3 paletas in our shadow box. Another thing that we like to incorporate into our shadow box is other embellishments that are outside of the box. So like, for example, here we have a Day of the Dead shadow box, and we decided to add this little embellishment here on the outside of our box. And on our sketch, we decided with just like a basic half crescent.
So we're gonna go ahead and show you guys some of the materials that you will need. You don't need everything that's on the table. That's our collection that we have amassed over the years. But we just want you guys to sort of get an idea of the things that you can get to work on this project. We like to work with acrylic paint, especially because you're gonna be painting on a wooden surface. And to get like a really solid coverage, acrylic paint is always good to work with. We also like to make sure that we have cardstock available to us in different colors, because cardstock really lends itself to a lot of really cool projects. And since we're going to be working with cutouts, we like to have this at hand. Adhesive foam sheets. These are really cool to work with, easy shapes, and with kids, you don't need to have glue at hand. You can just sort of use the adhesive on the back. And these are what we use to make some of our details on the edges of our shadow box.
I got this thing with glitter, so you're gonna see my stack of glitter, but we have in mind that we're gonna be working with, let's say, little kids. So what we decided on was decorative paper. So we really focused on like things that are like shiny, reflective.
So we wanted a pattern that would make it fun, because it's the summer, it's paletas, we like it colorful. And also to add embellishment to your box, like Maria said, you can use glitter. We like to make things really shiny, but if you're working with kids, we also recommend adhesive gems, which are really, really fun to work with. Again, really easy to work with. As you can see here on the edges, we added these details. Kids love to work with them, and they're not messy. You want to make sure that you have scissors, because you're going to be cutting paper. We didn't use a Cricut. If you have a Cricut, that's awesome. You can go way detailed with all your cutouts. We don't mind getting messy. It's our studio. We like paint everywhere. But if you don't, if you're working at home, paint markers are the way to go. And lastly, you want to make sure that you have a good option for adhesive. So there's double-sided tape. There are double-sided foam squares, which we like to go with because you can play with depth in your shadow box. And then if you're sort of supervising the project, there's also glue sticks and a glue gun. If you're working with adults, I think that's also a really good option. And for your decorative materials, that's the table. Like I said, if you don't have this at home, you can go to any of the stores, really. They have really good craft sections now. and sort of pick up a couple of things. But this is what we like to work with when we are going to do our shadow box. If you want to make it fun for the kids, you could also add electric tea lights or fairy lights and have it be a night light for their room, and it's a really cool piece for their space.
So I've decided on an open box. I didn't want to hinge on this, and I've also decided to go with pink and orange as the colors of my box.
After we have our paint applied to our box, what we like to do is set our shadow box aside and plan out our scene that's going to go on the inside. It's cool to sort of work with your kiddos, maybe make it a 2-day project where you get to work with them on coming up with the sketches, going to go buy your materials, and then sort of painting the box. Have that be a day. The next day can be you working on your cutouts. So once we have our box painted, like I said, we're gonna set it aside and work on our cutouts.
So how I decided to size up my images for my shadow box is what I did was I flipped over my shadow box and I decided to trace around my box. All the way around. Not only to get the outside dimensions, but then also to figure out my inside dimensions. Now with this box, we can see that there's like a little width, which I just went ahead and traced it. And then I just connected it. So now that I have that, I was able to size up from my thumbnail, which we decided on this one right here. The sizing up is, you don't have to be super serious. You don't have to commit right away. It's something that you are going to be drawing out, erasing, and then drawing out again. And again, also with my top design, I had decided on my crescent. And again, I just traced the top of my box to give me my proper sizing for what it is I want to add. So once I did that, I decided to retrace my sketch so that it can be a much more cleaner design, and it'll be much more easier for me to trace onto my decorative paper. And how I did that, again, and this is all if you're not working with a Cricut. So how I decided to do it is like I just flipped over my sheet and I buffed out with my HB pencil, just super messy. It doesn't have to be anything serious. And I actually, because I wanted to work with this design, I was very picky with where I wanted to where I wanted the lines to lay out on the paleta. And so what I did was I traced it out on top of the design. Now there's 3 sheets that I have here, and with these 2 I was able to trace out like this with my images facing me. Now with this one, which I've decided this is going to be my my outside detail, it has a bit of pattern to it, and it's a bit embossed on the sheet. I've got this thing where, like, if I don't see the line being continuous, then for me I get a little bit messed up. So what I decided to do was flip the page over, and again, using the same method, I buffed from the back and I decided to trace my image like so.
Since you have everything cut out, you can sort of play around with the composition of your shadow box, because it's one thing to sort of see it traced and drawn, and another thing to see it with your cutouts already like on your table. Maria decided to do some of her cutouts a little bit bigger than the box because we get to play with depth. As you can see in this shadow box, the skeletons are in the foreground, in the middle ground, and in the background. So it just makes your shadow box a little bit more fun. Okay, so Maria finished off putting all the paletas where she wanted them. And as you can see, we've played with depth. So there's one that's way at the back, one that's in the middle, and one's in the foreground. Now the thing that she's working on right now is the part that's going to be the detail on the outside of the shadow box, so that it's not just a rectangle. You can always do various things. If you can see our paper here, we have different shapes that we can add on. So she's gonna go ahead and glue that on. Again, she used double-sided tape, and she decided to use paper instead of adhesive foam, but you can use the adhesive foam for this piece. Just cut off where you're going to meet the adhesive and leave the rest taped on, so it's not sticky all the way at the top.
Yes. This is our box. This is our sketch of our box. And then this is our finished product.
And at this point, you can be done, or you can add extra embellishments around your box on the background wherever there's spaces left open, because you have the adhesive gemstones. Go for it, have fun.
Yeah. Since we're doing a paleta themed project, we're going to go to paleta flavors.
Ooh. I love me a good tamarindo paleta. I like more of the sour sweet combo. Also the pickled Lucas one.
I'm super basic. I go pecan and chocolate.
Pecan's good though.
Oh, pecan.
Pecan, whichever.
You're gonna get some comments though.
It's very controversial.
So yeah, that's our finished shadow box.
Yes.
I hope you guys had fun. Be as creative as you want to be with this project. It's always up to you how far you want to take it or how simple you want to keep it. Hey, I hope you had fun with us, and go out there, get your craft materials. So you guys can find us on social media. On Instagram, our handle is at Manola_and_Maria. We also have a website. It's www.manolandmaria.com. And on both sites, you can find whenever we put up information about workshops when we're going to have them here at our studio, and also about markets where we may be at or murals that we're working on. So follow us on social media and you can sort of hang out with us sometime.
Yeah.